Hey guys, I'm bored. It's too cold out here to garden. The temperatures at night are going down to, tonight I think it's gonna be like -2, 0, and maybe some snow in the forecast for some of the areas around us. So not a whole lot going on in the garden. I do have some beautiful little daffodils and some spring flowers that have bloomed in the garden. So let's do a tour of what's actually blooming and happening in the garden. So this is the front garden where I planted all my tulips, and look at how big they're getting. Some of them possibly have some little sprouts on them. I haven't really seen, oh, there's one there. Oh, that might be one of our first tulips to bloom. The south side of the rock has a bit more growth than this side. The daffodils have all started to bloom out here in the front garden. I'm really enjoying the daffodils this year. They are definitely one of my favorite flowers this year, spring flowers anyways. So we've got some more on this side and some grape hyacinth that I've planted, so first year on those. These little flowers in the front here, these little spiky things, had little yellow flowers on them, and they are done already for the spring. These hyacinths were here before. I'm not sure why there was just 2 random hyacinths there, but they are really nice with all my little daffodils that are blooming. And the hollyhocks and a hockey ball. I'm growing a hockey ball in the front garden. The hollyhocks, I'm really hoping I get some flowers on them this year. So I started those from seed last year, and they do take, I think, 2 or maybe 3 years before you actually see some flowers. But we'll see how those do over the season, and hopefully we'll get some flowers on the hollyhocks this year. What else can we go look at? There's not a lot happening yet. It's been really cold, and not a lot is growing because of the cold. I did get my Artist in a Garden paint tube set up the other day, and I did a video last year of how I made this paint tube out of your HVAC supplies and created that. I saw a picture on Pinterest where they had the paint tube, and then at the bottom of the paint tube it looks like there's flowers growing out of it. So last year I had it set up here after I already had the flowers planted in the planters, but I like to grow the Super Petunia Vista bubblegum and have the pink bubblegum Super Petunias growing out of the paint tube. So we got that set up and ready to go for the summer season. So out here in the back garden, I have some tulips planted as well. This is where I put the poppy supports. And where are they? There they are behind me. So you can see the tulips have all come up back here as well. They're a little bit behind the ones from the front garden. They don't get as much sun, and the ground back here was frozen a lot longer than the garden in the front. So my little garden back here has lots of tulips waiting to bud, and some daffodils that are going to bud and bloom in the next couple of days. The poppies are doing really well this year. I've got my new poppy supports. Once I had the new poppy support beside the old one, I had to make another one. So I did do another poppy support and put it beside the new one, and move the other one, the older one that I had, over to where I had that peony that's grown, the 2nd-year peony, and have a peony support actually on a peony. I have lots of ostrich ferns and hostas along this side bed. This one I haven't cut out any of the old growth yet, but you can see all the fiddleheads all the fiddleheads that are starting on all the ostrich ferns all the way along the side of this garden on the side of our house. This garden doesn't get any sun, so it's full shade all the time. And this little plant here, I've wondered what it is for years, and I think it is a rhododendron. And it has beautiful blooms on it. It reminds me of a magnolia, but it definitely needs some kind of maintenance. I'm gonna have to look up what to do with a rhododendron. Does anybody else have a rhododendron? Leave me a comment below and let me know how to take care of this plant. I'm not sure if I need to prune it back. We have a dead branch off this side, which I think I should take off, and some new growth coming out of the base. So I think that's a good thing, but I've never really had a rhododendron before. So leave me a comment below and let me know your tips on how to take care of this plant. I'll take you out here behind the bunkie over by our field where I painted the Harley Davidson sunflower. I installed some new solar lights above my murals. Oh, it's windy over here. Can you see the light up there? So I put a solar light, it's like one of those barn gooseneck lights, to shine onto these murals. I've got one on this one, and then on the other bunkie, which is going to be a big project this summer, to paint a garden mural on the back of the bunkie behind the koi painting. So this is where I installed one of the solar lights, and I'll take you out to the other bunkie and I'll show you how the other one looks and where my new mural is going to go for this summer. On our way out to the other bunkie, this is the old peony support that I had on the poppies, and I've put it over this little peony. Won't it be so exciting if we actually get some blooms on this peony this year? And the forsythia, that's a hard word to say, forsythia is in full bloom. It's so pretty. It doesn't have a lot of blooms on it this year, but it has a lot more than it did last year. The garlic is all looking very wonderful this year in all the corners of the bed. I finally got this garden bed finished as well. So this is where I'm going to grow the pumpkins and the large squashes. I think they will do really well out in this bed. It gets a lot of sun being in this back corner, and they'll have lots of room to grow out here. But this back of the bunkie here, there's a better picture of the gooseneck solar lights that we installed on the end of the bunkie. So this is the bunkie with the koi mural, and we still have our hockey lights out. I like the way these lights shine out onto this birch tree. It looks really nice at night out here at our pond. Our pond is quite high this year, which is nice to see. Say hello to Ramona. She's out there swimming around somewhere. So this end of the bunkie, sorry, the ladder is still out from us installing the lights. So there's my winter sowing, and they're all doing really well. I'm still waiting on some germination on some of the sunflowers, but this is where my next painting mural is going to go. What should I paint on the end of this bunkie? It's definitely going to be garden themed, probably with I think a bumblebee or some kind of bee and flower motif on the side of there, and I might even wrap it from the back of the bunkie around to that side. So the light's already installed for my new mural. Okay, it is way too cold out here today. Just went over to see if I could see Ramona. But we almost have like white caps on the pond. Not exactly, but it's a windy, cold day. So there's a good view of the bunkie. It's got all my garden supplies out here. I definitely need to tidy that up. And but that is where my new mural is going to go this summer. And like I said, it's going to be a garden motif mural with a bumblebee, some flowers, maybe like a tomato vine or something along the end. You'll have to watch and find out and see what kind of creative artistic painting I come up with. Well guys, I don't know what else to do. There's not a lot of gardening happening. I'm gonna go back into the seed studio and warm up. I love this nice warm space in here. I'll give you an update as to how my seedlings in here are doing. I have some new seeds that I started. So being bored and not really knowing what to do, I wanted to start some cucumber seeds. But I've used my own resistance on that and know that starting cucumbers and zucchini and squash too early is never a good idea. Same with beans or peas. So we will wait another probably week or two before I'm actually going to start my cucumbers and squash, because they need to go out into the garden quickly, probably after 2 weeks of growth on your cucumbers, because they're heavy feeders. They don't like their root systems to be very manipulated. So we're not going to start any cucumbers yet. Probably another couple of weeks before I can get going on those. So I did start some other seeds today. What did I start? Nicotiana and columbine. So these seeds I probably should have started about a month ago, but I just found them in my seed box that I have all my seed packages in. So I thought, well, there's something I could try and start and see how much growth or germination I can get on those. I still have about 4 weeks before my last frost date, so I should be able to get some good growth on those. Let me show you what else I've got growing in here in the seed studio. So here are the pepper plants. They are looking really good. I have 1 or 2 of them that have some yellowing on the leaves. And I think that was my mistake with some over fertilizing. I think I what do you call it? I didn't get the ratio right on my watering jug with some of the fertilizers. So some of the lower leaves have dropped off, but all the new growth in here looks so good. Look at the amount of peppers that are growing on some of these plants. They have turned out really, really good. So very happy with my pepper plants this year. They're doing really well. And hopefully we can keep them going until I can get them out in the garden. We're still gonna be, how many weeks are we? We're still 3 weeks according to my calendar. So today is the 20th, so I started the Nicotiana and the columbine. So we're still 3 weeks before our last frost date on the calendar, but depending on our weather and how our soil temperatures do will depend on when I can get my peppers and my tomatoes, which I've had to move down onto the floor because they no longer fit under here under the grow lights. They're hitting the grow lights. So I just put them down here on the floor. They are well established. I'm not worried about them getting leggy at this point, but let's take a peek up here. Calendula, so I'm germinating some calendula in this little tray. We've got some nasturtiums over here on this little tray that I'm germinating, and I'll pot these up. Look at how cute they are. Aren't they just so adorable? So I started a little tray of nasturtiums. We've got some germination. These 3 are doing, overachieving compared to, there's a little one that's just started there. And these are Chinese lanterns in here. So we've got a couple of things germinating in there, but Chinese lanterns, again, should have been started months ago, but I thought, you know what, I'm gonna try them now. So this is the tray that I started today, and Nicotiana on the one side and the columbine on this side, and hopefully we'll get good germination on that, and we'll see how much of that grows. So I've got 36 cells of each, and keeping the dome on those to help them germinate, and just sprinkled on top for the light to germinate on that. We still have some Lisianthus doing really well. We've got this one. This looks like rose setting to me, but we'll see how that one does. It's still the biggest. This is the Champagne 2 Voyager and the Arena 3 Gold. On these ones that I just potted up in those pots, and there's the rest of them down there. I think I ended up with some fungus gnats in that tray, and I did lose a couple, but I still have the majority of them in those little peat pots. So these guys are just out in the garage here by the window in the garage. Out in the garage by the window in the garage. I brought them in. This is the door that I come in and out of from my little greenhouse tent. So I've just brought them in and set them just in front of the window here, and they will be fine to sit here for the next few days until we get some warmer temperatures. It's mostly our nighttime lows. Our nighttime lows are dipping down to -2, -3. So I need to have these in overnight. So I've just brought them in and I've left them in during the day. Let's take a look and see how they're doing. So these are the snapdragons. I did get some of them potted up into some bigger pots, and I did clip them back or pinch them back a bit, and they are doing really well. So my little snapdragons in this tray, the delphiniums, they have been loving it out in their little greenhouse tent. They are doing really well, and I can't wait to get some of these in the ground. Hopefully we'll get flowers on them this year. And the bunny tails. So these are doing well. They did get a little bit of frost one of the nights, and some of the smaller stuff has come off at the bottom here, but overall they look good. The dianthus looks really good. Bunny tail's in the way. The pampas grass, I did have to cut some of it back. It was just going crazy, so we've got good growth back on it again. I have some pansies and some ranunculus that I want to get out into one of the containers, but for now I'm just leaving them in here. I'm going to wait till next week when the temperatures warm up a bit. And these are the wave petunia, the purple wave petunia. They are doing so good. I love the way that these are looking, and I still haven't been able to get my onions out into the garden. I'm gonna wait another week before I put them in the garden, but everything else is looking really good. Here's what are these? Sweet peas. So the sweet peas were all pinched back, and they're strong and sturdy and looking really good. They have been loving it out in the tent, the garden tent. And I started some of this stuff down here. What is this stuff? Malva zebrina. So it is a plant from the mallow family. And it's just a plant that I'm going to put out alongside of the pond, I do believe, because apparently it might take over some areas that you put it in. But anyways, my boring little update on all my little seedlings that you've all seen before. Just trying to stay occupied while we wait for some warmer weather before we can get outside into the garden. So this was a project that I was working on over the last couple of days. So this is a windmill that sits out in the middle of my garden, and some of the bolts had come loose on it last year, and I had to do some repair work on some of the fins, and we've had to come up with a new harness to hold the windmill onto this garden structure. So that's been a project that we've been working on over the last couple of days. And I'm anxious to get it out in the garden and set up. So I'll grow probably some vine crops on this. I was thinking maybe cucamelons would do really well on this trellis, but definitely a vine crop or something that I will be trellising up onto that. Well guys, just a quick little update of me being bored. A bored gardener is never a good idea. That's when things start to get carried away. Like I mentioned, starting beans or peas or cucumbers way too early. I'm sure we've all made those mistakes before. Leave me a comment below. Let me know what you started too early and how you're learning or correcting some of your gardening mistakes that you've made over the years. My name is Bonnie. This is Artist in a Garden. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.